Thank you so much, leaders, for joining us on another podcast at Dawdle.live. And this time we're kind of hosting somebody, who has spent years in companies doing market research. And these are all very big companies. I will also be posting the LinkedIn profile of Mr. Indranil in the description section where you can go and check his profile. Years in market research. For a lot of you who may not have done that or who are not aware of it, it's kind of a building block for any business, for any decision that's being taken, because it's told that, a decision which is not based on data, uh, is more prone to fail. So in today's session, we're going to talk about market research, experiences of Mr. Indranil, and also we'll talk about, how is he helping a lot of the, clients that he has. And also we'll touch upon some of the components of AI as well. And I know AI is of great interest to a lot of you folks. So do keep on watching the podcast till the end. And I know a lot of you, kind of quit the podcast in between, like after 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, but don't leave it, play it at a 2x speed, right? And watch the podcast. It will help you learn. A lot of the young people as well, like means we know that Dawdle is focused on senior leaders, but still, if you're watching this podcast, you can also use this podcast as a way to crack your interviews as well. If you're appearing for big companies inside, who do market research. Thank you so much, sir, for joining
Thank
on
you,
this
Rishikesh.
podcast. And one thing I forget is that to tell to the audience is that sir is also an esteemed faculty in some of the good institutes. He's also just about to complete his PhD from IIM, and he is looking to give it back to the society, whatever he has learned and whatever he has achieved in his career. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thanks, Rishikesh. That's a wonderful introduction.
Sir, we see, most of the businesses, they have access to more data than ever, right now.
Yes.
Yet, the problem is that most of the leaders still struggle to answer simple questions like why are the customers buying? Why are competitors winning? Why are products failing? And why do so many business decisions miss the mark? And, from your experience, right from IDC to IBM to Kantar and now NexMind Advisory, you have advised some of the world's largest technology and B2B companies. So I want to understand, brief of like, why is this thing happening? You have all the data in the world, but still you are failing that.
So if you look at Rishikesh, that there is a huge misconception that company think that the customer think about their brand as deeply as the company does, right? So if you look at inside a company, people discuss features, pricing, campaigns, competitors, dashboard, strategy every day and day in, day out. But if you look at the customer on the other hand, they are the lot, which is very busy. And in most of the categories are it's low involvement products. So they don't have the time to analyze the brand. They don't have the time and they don't care how much you are spending on the campaign, how much you have done your competition analysis, what are the kind of strategy you have built. What they are looking at is my product solving my problem quickly. Is my product minimizing, I'm using the product with minimum risk. And if not, then there is no point in building a brand as far as the company is concerned. You cannot build a brand because with repeat usage, customers build association with the brand. And if you don't keep these basics right, you cannot build a good product or a good brand.
Yeah. Sir, you have spent over 20 years studying markets. Like, if
Yes.
you could tell, like, what are the biggest misconceptions business leaders usually have about their customers? One thing you have already told is that they think that they are thinking as deeply about the product or service as they are. Yeah. What are the others?
So as I mentioned
Hmm.
that what we see that the company thinks that customers is bothered about my brand as much as I think, but it's not the case. You may have lot of things into your mind regarding your product. The product may be because it's your baby. You may have think about your product very dearly, whether building the product, building the pricing, building the campaign, building the distribution channel. But the customers what it's look at is it what is in it for me?
Yes.
Is my product that I'm going to use will solve my problem? Can I associate and over the period of usage, can I associate that product with me? If not, then the product have no value in the market. So the real question is that what do customer think about us? But actual the question is, do we matter enough in the customer when he is making a decision? So that is a misconception I believe the business leaders have about their customers.
Yes. But many times when you tell these executives that, they don't understand the customers that well, they try to kind of nudge you and, they are not ready to believe, when they actually are not understanding the customers. Why is it like that, sir?
So see, if you look at that, company has a hierarchy.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
And when the company has a hierarchy, then everything doesn't reach out to the top management who are making the decisions. And the irony of the fact is, the people who are making the decision are often not connected with the market. The
Yes.
lower hierarchy, the front end stuff, they are connected with the market,
Mm,
right? So they come with they listen from the customer what is good, bad, and ugly,
mm,
and they filter out often the ugly part because they think that if I tell the ugly part more, my job will be at stake.
yes.
So they talk to their top management about the good part
Mm,
and obviously to the bad part. Now, given that to the top management, the ugly doesn't reach out, they feel that everything is hunky dory. So at the end of the day, those who are making the decisions, they are often missing the ugly part, right? They take it as like sales here's objection, marketing sees that campaign is not going well. So there is always a issue in terms of, or I say that the quick fixing arrangements are done. You got it what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes.
There's a quick fix strategy what they are taking, which I would say it's more operational. And when things are operational always, then the transformation doesn't happen. And that is where there is a biggest disconnection happens when organization study the data and stop studying the context, as said. Does that answer
Yes.
your question?
Yes. Organizations only study the data, but they don't study the context. And that is
Yes.
where the role of, I think, people who can put it across in the right way comes into the picture.
Yeah. So if you look at, there are what differentiates a competitive company to a great company, we need to understand that. A competitive company always, I'm not saying that they don't hear to the customer, they hear, but they
Mm,
don't listen.
mm,
They observe superficially and
mm.
they don't always adapt. But a great company is the one who comes out of their boardroom, listen to the customer context, and they along with that they study the data, because as I believe, when you don't study the data, when I'm talking about the data, it's not only quantitative data, I'm talking about the information as well. If you don't contextualize, then you are setting up for a failure, setting yourself up for a big failure.
And sir, while you have worked with so many companies, what percentage of business decisions do you think are actually backed by customer understanding versus assumption?
So I would I wouldn't put a typical percentage on it, but we need to understand the entire ecosystem. Worldwide, there are 400 million plus organizations. Okay. And 90% of them are smaller businesses, or the
Mm,
small businesses, as we say. And many of these businesses, so
mm,
which essentially means more than 350 million
mm,
businesses are small businesses.
mm.
So, for any country's economy, these small businesses are
Yeah.
the pillars or backbone, what you call it. Now, these small businesses, they are largely based on their assumption, and they do not understand the importance of the data backed decision or insights backed decision. I would say insights backed decision. Yeah, obviously they use some of the other data, but they do not believe in insights backed decision. And that is why, if you look at the statistics, most of the companies fail
Mm,
within 1 or 2 years of their inception. And that is why probably today most of the country's economy is struggling, because it's not only the bigger companies but the smaller companies, they are taking decision on the base of the assumptions but not by listening to the or based on thorough understanding of the customers.
So many times, what we also see is that customers say something, but they actually do something else.
Of
So,
course.
um, want to understand your perspective that why can't businesses rely on surveys alone?
See, surveys are definitely useful, but surveys are not only the reality.
Mm,
Right. There, as I told earlier as well, that the survey needs to be, or the data needs to be contextualized. Okay.
mm,
And when we're talking about survey, it's a more of a structured version of what people are willing to say. Right. And customers, and I'm making a statement over here that customer often don't know what they are doing and why they are behaving in certain way, and they often post rationalize it, that why they have done something, and they often give more socially acceptable answers.
yeah.
They say that they want to say something, but at the back they don't, in their mind something different is going on. The survey is designed in such a way where you don't have the, what should I say, well,
Mm,
they don't have the flexibility to capture those whys and hows. And the day we as a researcher or as a company crack the 5W1H framework,
that's
I
right.
think
Yeah.
5W1H framework is
Mm,
basically who, why, when,
mm,
okay, where, then no, who, what, when, where, why, and okay.
yeah.
When you crack this, I think you're half of the job is done. And often we miss on this basic, that the companies, what we have learned in the first year of MBA,
Yeah.
we fail to apply that.
And what are the mistakes that organizations make while collecting feedback, sir, from the customers?
Again, the mistake, I wouldn't say is a mistake. I would say it's more of a, there is a gap which companies failed to bridge often, right? And the biggest gap is that they ask customer to evaluate company's agenda instead of understanding the customer's life. You need to get into what customer is doing in the life, right?
Yes.
We ask, how do you rate our product? But instead, if we can ask, what are you trying to achieve, and what
Mm,
that made it difficult, right? So that is where we ask, what would you, as a customer, what would you recommend us,
mm,
right? That is a specific research question. But instead of that, if we ask, what would you make to switch, okay, we ask, what are the features you want, rather than we need to ask, what are you struggling today. If you look at the biggest of innovations have take place by asking these right questions. If you look at when the mobile was incepted, they didn't work because customer didn't know that they wanted a mobile phone. The companies whosoever has invented the mobile, they asked the customers, they try to get the answers where the customer were struggling, right? So I would say the bad research starts with a company centric question. Good research starts with customer centric and contextual questions.
So, without naming clients, can you share a project where the data said one thing, but customer behavior revealed something very different?
There are actually plenty. 2 decades, more than 2 decades of being in the research industry, I have faced many of such things. One of the example, I won't take the name because there's one of the very prominent player in the e-commerce segment. The company, and it was around 18 years backstory, if I remember correctly. The company had a web version and the company had a mobile version, which was app, right?
Yeah.
They got the data that most of the people usage of mobile app is much more. The sales is happening through mobile is much more than the website, right? They decided that, okay, we will stop the website version, we'll keep only the mobile app version. Okay. Now the decision is taken. Next Monday, they are going to stop the website, and even going to make the announcement that we are stopping the website version. Now what happens is that one of the person who believed in research, they said that why don't we talk to some of the customers? Okay. And they contacted us.
Mm,
And what we did was, and they needed the information very quickly within 1 week or 1.5 weeks time, because the more they keep both the version is the cost is getting multiplied, right?
yeah.
So they had to take a decision. Their CEOs wanted the data as of yesterday. So we tell that, okay, what we will do is give us a week's time. We will get you the information very quickly. So we decided some of the tier one city, some of the tier two cities, somewhat tier three cities, we'll talk to very few people, right? 10, 15 people, and we will get the pulse of it. Why they're using mobile more, why they are not using website. And the finding was an eye opener. The thing is, they usage the mobile version while they were traveling to office, traveling to college, while at the office, and so on. And they used to put that product on their wish list or add to bag section. Now, when they come to home or when they reach office, they started looking the mobile, the whatever the product is on the bigger screen so that they can see clearly how that product looks like, how that product will actually fit into my need, and so on and so forth. And then again, next day, while they are at on the move or on the on the at their ease, they used to book that product or order that product from their mobile. So while mobile was the point where is a transaction point, financial transaction device, but the actual evaluation was happening on the website, right? So they used to look how the product would look like on their website. So if you leave the website, if you stop the website, it might have impacted their sales immensely. So till now, both their version are up and running. The website is there, mobile app is there. So that's the power of good research. When you understand what your customer want, how the customer is behaving.
Yes. Right. So when we talk about market research, a lot of technology interventions are also coming up, including the
Right.
use of AI. So would also want to understand that which of these technology trends are overhyped and which of them are underestimated.
Okay. So when you talk about, there are various products and various technology has come into the picture in last 40, 50 years, starting from internet to mobile to cloud, now to AI. I believe all they were the timing was right when they, because we needed that kind of technology at that point in time. Okay. For an example, mobile.
Yes.
In market research. Okay, it was not a technology shift; it was a market access revolution, as I say it.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you ask me to choose one of the product or one of the trend which was overhyped, and it's totally my personal view,
Yeah.
I would say it the metaverse. People invested on metaverse, creating campaign, creating business use cases, and all this, but none of the things had actually made me wow.
Hmm.
Okay, because I believe that technology becomes powerful only when it solves a real human or business problem at a scale. Okay, because hype starts with the possibility and adoption starts with the utility, right? And that didn't happen with metaverse as I see it. And if you ask me which trend is still underestimated, I don't think that we really are underestimating any of the things. For example, we talk about AI as a tool.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say the real transformation of AI will happen when it will be embedded into workflows, whether in terms of sales workflows, services workflows, research workflows, and moreover decision workflow. But that doesn't mean that AI needs to replace the human beings. No. Companies that will win that who are not that who are using the most AI tools, but the ones that will be redesigning the work around this intelligence.
Yes. And
Yeah.
okay, so you told that, companies who will win will be the people who will redesign their process around this intelligence.
Yes.
And do you think business leaders are getting it right, sir? Or, there's a lot of talks around AI adoption going wrong and all that.
Yes. Business leaders, again, as I understand, that they are looking AI as technology implementation and productivity improvement tool.
Hmm.
Okay. That is the biggest mistake that companies are doing. Second, they believe AI will reduce cost. And I'm making a statement over here. This is a too narrow thinking.
Hmm.
AI can improve your speed, AI can improve your decision quality. AI can help in terms of product improvement, but not cost reduction.
Not cost.
And obviously, that using and if and many of the people don't know, AI is not aware, doesn't add to sustainability. The kind of energy that AI is required by AI in terms of electricity, storage, water, that is, if you weigh it, it proved to be much costlier.
Yes. Now, so we'll talk a bit about NextMind and would want to understand, like, why did you start this? What was going on in your mind while you started this?
Okay. If you look at, there are few things. In my research experience of over 20 years, what I have seen that
Hmm.
many research projects are designed to answer research questions, but not the business decisions. Number one. And that I would say that's a criminal of research resources and business resources. The report may have 100 slides, have excellent charts, detailed finding, detail, and even the recommendation. But if after the research company leadership still asks that what should we do the next, then I believe that research has not finished his job. That is number one. Number two, that we need to answer what separates useful insights from an interesting information. And that is why I believe that there is a shift which is required from insights to advisory. I'm not saying that companies don't give insights. No, there are many companies that have significant repute. There are mid-sized research organizations that are built by various the stalwarts of the industry, that they are providing useful insights. But what I feel that there is a lack is there's a clarity is missing. Because if you look at the traditional model of research is you collect the data, you analyze and present the findings and connect with the research business problem statement or the research questions. But we need to understand that we have to move from there. It has to be understand and decode business problem before you decode customer behavior. I believe that decoding business problem is where the success of the research lies, and research company cannot work as a vendor. It has to work as a partner to identify and decode the customer problem.
Right.
Okay. And once you do that, and basically is the you co-create the research problem and the research design, right? You work as a partner, you work as a collaborator.
Yeah.
Until and unless you do that, the research, there is no point in doing the research. I can say at the beginning, the research is not going to
Yes.
get succeeded. Okay. Till my last point, sometime back during our initial part of the conversation, I was talking about we need to understand the customer, we need to listen to the customer. But
Hmm.
in what context I will listen to the customer?
Hmm. Right.
Because if the business problem is A, what I will do hearing C.
Yes.
I may need to hear C as well, but there has to be some contextual thought to connect A, B, and C.
Yes.
Right. So that is an ultimately research will answer a simple thing, that how does I move the needle? The client needs to have answered that how client will move the needle. Okay. And if research doesn't change a decision, it has failed. And I strongly believe.
So many a times, although this can be a bit controversial, but many a times research projects are funded to justify a particular decisions. Like
Yes.
means, and you know that, like a lot of them, sir, a lot of them. Like, we have heard that research papers telling that cigarette smoking is good back in 80 years back. Like research papers telling that, say, eating this kind of oil is good. Ultimately, finding out that this was not eating sugar was also good as per a lot of research papers. So, what is the purpose of research has to move towards, like as you told, like it should lead to some insightful decisions.
Yeah. Yes.
it should not be the other way around, sir. But most of the
Mm.
CEOs also, not most of them, but some of them also
Mhm.
take up a research thing from some company because they want to justify their decisions. Your viewpoints?
Yeah. So there are two things to it, Rishikesh, that I don't deny the fact that they want to justify their decision. Even the example that I have given, that was to justify, right? That justify that website, but the things have come out something else. Now the thing is, it's up to the company that whether they want to take that decision on that finding or not. That research is not the research is research agency. I would say that their its duty is to come up with the truth. Okay, and now whether they will justify or not, or whether they take a decision on the basis of that or not, that is on the CEO's hand or the company's hand. Now, people may argue, but before that, sugar, the example that you have mentioned, that sugar, there were research reports mentioning that sugar is good for health. I also would say that sugar is good for health because in what context they have said it, you need to understand.
Yes.
Because sugar is definitely required for your body. If your sugar comes down, you may faint.
Yes.
Right. The sugar is required for you need to understand what context they have said it. That justification also will come in, that how the customers have tell something in what context. Now,
Right.
I would say that the company's example that I have taken, that you can need to continue. My research finding should be, it's important that you continue with the website and mobile app both because of the following reasons. Okay. Now, if you want to take out website, these are the statutory warning. If you want to take out your website, you have to build your mobile application in such and such way. That is when the obviously depends on the research scope. Then your finding in totality comes in. Now let the companies decide what they do it, and that is where the importance of research organization comes in.
Yeah.
To make your research so good, or I would say make your data research so good that you build the data information and insights to your client's culture. Because in today's organization, it's not the insights team of the company or the marketing of the company team of the company, or the sales of the company who needs to be closer to the customer. Everyone, whether it's your innovation team, whether your marketing team, whether your media planning team, any team has to be closer to the customer, and a research organization like us can help them to bring them closer to the customer by providing insights which are fast and at the same time quality of a great quality.
Absolutely. And now, moving towards the discussion around AI, sir, like how do you think market research will change in the AI era? Will it replace the researchers?
Before answering to your question, will AI replace your research? I would like to answer it a bit differently. We need to understand that how market research will change in AI era, right? If you ask me, that the market research will become faster, more continuous, more integrated with the business decisions. Okay. AI will help whether in terms of desk research, transcription analysis, pattern decision, survey design, social listening, synthetic exploration, and so on and so forth, more structured and more fast way. But if you really want to move up the value of the researcher will need to become better at framing business questions, interpreting business human behavior, and identifying those contradictions and advising the leaders. Okay. AI will definitely reduce the value of mechanical research. The more and more human intervention, where more and more intervention is required, powered by human intervention, will help in research. So, coming to your next question, was this, that will AI help the researcher? AI will definitely replace some task, not the researcher. It will replace the repetitive work, but as I say, that if researcher can move themselves upwards towards asking better questions, interpreting, decoding, identifying, uh, then there will be great future of researcher in the company. And as I say it, the load factor will decide on the future of the researcher. What I say is load is listen to your client and your customers, observe what is happening, analyze and decode. What I call is a load framework. Okay. Yeah. Decode and decide. And why I place analyze, digging, because when you analyze, you will be able to decode more the things. Because analysis is, people often say that analysis is a final part just before the presentation. No, analysis is a continuous process. When you listen, when you observe, at the point in time itself, you start analyzing. Analyzing doesn't mean that you using statistical tools, you are using sophisticated tools. Analysis is throughout. When you're talking to customer, you analyze their behavior, you analyze and keep on decoding what is happening out there. When you look at the data also after the research, you continue to decode. That's why you kept decode at the last. Decode and finally decide. Okay. So the load factor will decide how efficiently a researcher look at the load factor, or researcher's success will depend on, as I say, is that the load would be the new career for the researchers.
And again, coming back to Next Mind Consulting advice, is that what are a few gaps that you see in the market, and how is Next Mind going to solve that?
Okay. As I see the gaps in the market, there are siloed outputs, okay, that lead to weak business outcomes. The reports lack concrete next steps, and the recommendations are routinely untied from the executive KPIs. Okay. So there are, if I look at that, so there is an issue related to speed, issue related to transparency, and issue related to quality. Then, because if you have speed and quality, then transparency, you lack the transparency. When your transparency and speed is there, you
Quality is done.
quality suffers. Okay. When you have quality and transparency, then the speed which lacks, it becomes too slow. And our unique value proposition is to miss that, to identify these gaps and put in our effort towards make all these three circles work. Okay. So if we look at that, our pillars, it's a pillar would be three, or rather four if I talk it in detail. One is the founder led rigor, given that I have 20 years of experience and have worked on thousands of research projects, right? The team that would be working along with me understand the business problem at its core, not the research brief, but the strategic context behind it. And every project with real business clarity will be looked at, not just at methodological excellence. That is number one. Pillar two is human empathy. Okay. And cultural fluency, as I call it. What does it mean? We need to bring the contextual methodology, because as I said, that the context is very important, right? We need to have contextual question, contextual inquiries. We need to have ethnographic session, for an example, remote and in-person session, to capture unfiltered perspective from the respondents. Okay. The journey map. Okay. And decoding the cultures, because in India, as I was saying to someone, so in India, the culture changes every 100 kilometers, right? Yeah. How you gauge that cultural differences, how you get that nuance. Okay. And those are the things are very important. And finally, the customization and flexible engagements with the clients, adapting to customers' timeline, customers' strategic objective, and customers' budget. We'll have tailored business designs. We have modular packages, and there will be sprint pod engagements as well. And finally, what we would insist in hybrid offering, where we blend deep qualitative insights with quantitative validation. Okay. So that's how we planning to have differentiate with, or rather more than differentiating, I would call is, that is what we bring to the table.
Right, sir. And now I would like to kind of get a few advices for the leaders who will be watching this particular podcast is that for all the founder friends out here, what is that one thing, sir, that every founder should know about customers?
I would say everything, because customers do not buy because of your passion.
Hmm. Yeah.
Your passion for the product. You may love your product, you may have vision for the product, but the customer is asking a simple question. Does this help me, or will this product help me? In
Yes.
what context?
Hmm.
You, as whether you are a CMO or you're a CEO or you are a founder, you should spend less time explaining what they build, but
Hmm.
more time in understanding what customer is trying to get done.
Right.
And if you do that, then your half of the job is done.
And what is that one thing which every CMO gets wrong, sir?
It's not right for me to generalize, but what I have seen that many CMOs today focus or over focus on communication and under focus on the customer reality, right? Because brand is not built through campaigns. Brand is built through repeated experience that either confirm or destroy the promise. Okay. So if the product experience, service experience, and the sales experience do not support the brand promise, your advertising cannot sell it. So you have to have a good product, good service, good sales experience as per the stated and unstated need and wish of the customer. Then your product will be successful, because many of the product didn't succeed because they have made strong promise but customer couldn't associate. Again, there was nothing wrong with the product, nothing wrong with their communication, nothing wrong with the intent, but they failed to listen to the customer. They failed to hear what changing time, with the changing time, customer preferences changing. Yes. Hope that it answers your question.
Absolutely. And what is that one thing every product leader should understand, sir?
Okay. Product leaders should understand that feature is not the value that you're providing to customer. Feature will only be valuable when it reduces friction from the customer perspective. It increases the confidence and obviously saves time and improve customers' emotional and functional satisfaction. Because you need to understand that customer don't need more features. Customer need fewer problems. And that is why there is so much focus on user friendliness. You give them a product which is tough to use, nobody is going to use that. You make it user friendly, everyone is going to use that.
And now a rapid fire round, sir.
Okay.
One line answers to all these questions.
Uh,
Most overrated business metric.
Most overrated business metrics is, what should I say? Awareness. I know high because what I call is as vanity awareness, high awareness without business relevance, without trust or conversion, and mislead your company.
Most underrated business metric, sir.
Customer effort.
Customer?
Customer. Customer effort.
Customer
Yeah, because if a customer have to work too hard to buy, use or renew or complain, they will eventually leave. For an example, if I have a laptop today. Okay, if my laptop is great, but I'm fine when I go to a Chroma showroom or Reliance, or for an example, any of the showroom, your laptop is not available. I will go one day, I will go the second day, I will go on the third day, then I will, okay, leave it. I will buy something else. I have issue with the laptop. I'm calling up to the customer care repeatedly. They are not able to. They are not able to solve. I'm not able to reach out. There are some chatbots sitting and talking to me. I will say that no, I don't want to continue with this product. And the next my product purchase, I will not even consider that brand.
One technology trend you are bullish on.
AI embedded with workflows. We need to stop looking at AI as a separate tool. We need to build AI with human decision powered with AI, or vice versa, as you, whatever you call it, in every decision making, customer service, research, and so on and so forth.
One book every leader should read.
There are too many. I don't, if I have this book, I should not look like that I'm just searching at this thing. But yes, it depends on what level of business you are in. One is Good Strategy, Bad Strategy by Richard Limit, because it teaches that strategy is not an ambition. Strategy is a diagnosis, a choice, and coherent action. That is one of the book I think all the leaders should. But there are plenty. Many of the books I have read, starting from your 0 to 1, then Think and Grow, and so on and so forth.
Sir, when you look back at your career, one habit that actually improved your career?
Thinking any fraction of second, I would say, is listening. Because as I said, if you hear your customer, if you listen to your customer or whosoever, then you have cracked the code of a good research. It doesn't matter how sophisticated tool you have, Rishikesh. If you don't have good listening skill, if you don't have data which is empowered by proper listening, it is a garbage into that sophisticated analytics tool. And if you put that garbage into your sophisticated tool, you will get a sophisticated garbage out. So in research and consulting, or for that matter, any business, your listening is the key, I would say.
One business myth which people should stop believing?
If I have more data, I will take better decision. Yes,
Nice. This is
I, I
nice.
I mean it, because more data will create more confusion. The data with if you have two data with properly clarified, with proper backing, with that, as I say, that 5W1H, with context, proper judgment, your job is done. You don't need to two things. And as I've said, I want to say that in one research, as an habit, we want to achieve too many objectives through one research. If you want to achieve too many objectives through one research, your research will go for a toss, because now you have too many data, you don't know what to do it, how to make a story out of the data, meaningful story out of that out. And nobody in the world you today will answer to your 20-page questionnaire. If they are answering 20-page questionnaire, then you then you know that those data is not meaningful, data is not right. And when the researcher will accept the fact, when the companies will accept the fact, the sooner they will accept the fact, it will help in their business decision.
Now, the last one, sir, is that after 20 years of studying customers, markets, technology, business decisions,
Mhm.
what is that one truth that you have become absolutely convinced about?
One truth I'm convinced about is that business do not fail because they lack data. They fail because they have misunderstood the reality. They misunderstood their customer, they misunderstood their competitor, the culture, timing, adoption barrier, and misunderstood their own capability. Okay. And here the role of insight is extremely critical. The role of actionable insights, and the answer, as I said it earlier, there should be always, how do I move the needle? How should I move the needle? And that if you have answers, those questions answered, then you will win your business. No one can stop you. Right.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining and sharing all these insights with our audience. Delightful session. And I think one of the best part was we touched upon a lot of the things which people don't discuss, like,
Yes.
the technicalities, though a lot of people know, but what goes behind the business and why something fails. Kudos to sir that you kind of answered it so well in such a layman terms that anybody will be able to understand. Also, we'll be putting up the entire details of NextMind Advisory in the description section.
Mhm.
Do check them out, and also feel free to reach out to Mr. Indranil. I will be putting in the LinkedIn link as well. So you reach out to them, and anything related to market research, or even if you need some guidance, if you're already working with an agency and you need some guidance, feel free to reach out, and we'll be more than happy to get you in touch with sir. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It was a wonderful discussion. I enjoyed this discussion thoroughly, Rishikesh. Good to connect, and hope this discussion was useful and of some use to the business leaders, to the people in the middle management, to the insights professional, and those who are coming out of the college, who are planning to take research and insights as they're part of the professional. I would say that research sounds like very serious kind of a thing, but I can assure you that after spend 20 years in the research industry, it's fun.
Thank you.
It challenges your creativity. It challenges your thought process. It challenges your ability to do your hard work. It challenges everything, and you deal with clients' business. You become one of the major stakeholders to business success, and that is what I love the most to being in the research for so long. Thank you. That's all from my side, Rishikesh. Again, thanks for inviting me to this podcast. Thank you.
Thank you so much.